The reverse side of this stitch is so cool. These little dimples give it that honeycomb look, and I just love it. On the other side is your bubble stitch, although not 100% the same as the needle knitted version. I think it looks beautiful. Hey, it's Denise from loom.com, and before we go too far into the video, I want to let you know that this is a stitch pattern only, so there's no cast on or cast off, because that depends more on your project than the stitch. All right, another heads up, this stitch needs 4 pegs in order for you to create it. Now I've repeated those 4 stitches 6 times so that you could have a good swatch to appreciate the stitch, and then I end with 3, and I'll explain those last 3 as we work the pattern. Quick commercial. These fruit markers, if you're interested, are available at loom.store. All right, let's get started with row 1, where you're going to do a knit 3 and then yarn over. And no worries if you're not sure how to do this, I'm going to take you step by step. We're starting with those 3 knit stitches. So if you know me, you know that in this direction I always prefer to use the flat. And for the flat, you just place the yarn flat over the existing loop, and then take the bottom loop over the top and knit off. And then you're gonna do that yarn over. And so for the yarn over, you're just gonna place the yarn over that existing loop, and then your 4 stitches are done, right? You've got this last one, you're not doing anything, but you have to anchor your working yarn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you need the next group of 4 in order to anchor that yarn over. So now you're going to do 3 knit stitches and then your yarn over. This is the repeat. Now to finish that last stitch, which is a yarn over, I have to anchor my yarn somewhere. So I'm going to do it in my next set. You see, this ends that group of 4 stitches that make up the stitch. So 3 knit stitches, 2, 3, and then a yarn over. But the next group is what's going to hold my yarn. So you're counting that one as one of the next group. And I hope this makes sense. So remember, I am repeating those 4 stitches 6 times for my swatch. You have to figure out how many times should you repeat those 4 stitches for yours. So this is my yarn over, and which is the last stitch in that 4 stitch group. 1, 2, 3 knit stitches, and then the yarn over. And I'm doing this a lot of times so that you can capture the concept, right? It can make more sense to you. So those 3, and then that's my anchor. Now remember, I explained that I did 3 to balance it out. So that's holding my stitches. Those are those extra 3. The last one ended right here with the yarn over, but I use that 1 peg to hold the yarn over, and then I do 3 knit stitches. And there you go. 1, 2, 3, and then the yarn over is held by the extra 3. They're not part of the 4, they just balance the look of the fabric. So now we turn around because we're knitting flat, and we're ready for row 2, which is a yarn over, knit 3. But before I do that, let me go through those extra 3 stitches at the end. Those are those plus 3 that balance out the fabric. And in this direction, by the way, I like to do the U-wrap, where you half wrap and knit off. That's the version of the knit stitch that I prefer in this direction. And remember that that plus 3 is not part of that stitch pattern. These 4 stitches are the ones we're going to focus on, which is a yarn over and then knit 3. So place your yarn now over 2 loops and then do those knit 3. And I'm sorry that I go off camera. Long story, not even going to get into it. but again, it's 3 knit stitches and then yarn over, knit 3. And remember that I repeated those 4 stitches 6 times, so I end on that same first stitch. If you have a border, you added something to your particular project, yours will end differently. But again, in this direction, yarn over, knit 3, and then you're ready for rows 3 and 4, which are a repeat of rows 1 and 2. For those of you that get a little confused when I say repeat the previous rows, this is what it looks like. Row 1 was knit 3, yarn over, 2 was yarn over, knit 3. You're just doing the same thing again for rows 3 and 4. And once you've done those 4 rows, you're then ready for row 5. You're going to start this row with 3 knit stitches, and then you're going to do something I'm going to call knit from 6 below. This might not be the correct term, and if that's the case, I apologize, but you'll see why I use it. When you look at the pegs where you've been doing the yarn offs, like right here, you'll see that there are 5 loops on the peg right now. So this bottom loop has to come over 5 of them. How does that happen? Well, you first do your 3 knit stitches, and then to do your knit 6 below, you take the working yarn and you put it over those 5 loops. And then you go all the way down to the last one, and you're going to knit that last loop over those 5. You're going to leave those 5 loops sitting right there. Let me show you one more time. You're going to do 3 knit stitches. In this case, I'm doing 3 flat knit stitches, and this bottom loop is going to become loop number 6 when you take the working yarn and put it over those 5 existing loops. Now it's 6. Take that loop number 6 over those 5. Now those 5 loops stay right there on the peg, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do next when we start row 6. So first, finish row 5, and then for row 6, we're going to purl 5 together and then knit 3. First, I'm going to knit the plus 3, you know, those 3 stitches that balance out my fabric. And then I'm going to go right here to where my 4 stitch pattern starts with these right here. Okay, so we're going to deal with this bundle of loops right here. There's 5 loops bundled up right there, and what we're going to do is we're going to purl that bundle of loops, and it's pretty tight, so I'm giving you the heads up. And then you're going to do your 3 knit stitches. So take your hook from the top, go through all of them down to the bottom, scoop up to create a new loop, and then you're going to take that bundle of loops off of your peg. And at first it's going to seem cumbersome, but then you're going to get used to it, and it's going to be okay. Put that new loop back on the peg and pull your working yarn to tighten the loop, and then real easy, go ahead and knit those 3 stitches. And again, personally, I use the U-wrap version of the knit stitch in this direction. All right, let's go to the next 4 pegs, because I want to show you this again. So I'm coming right here, and I'm going to put my working yarn under that peg with that bundle of loops. And then I'm going to take my hook from the top. I'm going to scoop up the working yarn to create a new loop, because I'm going to purl those 5. So that new loop is there. You're going to take your hook and take the bundle of loops off the peg, and notice that I'm holding my peg because I don't want to strain that peg. This is pretty tight. Okay, put the loop back on and pull your working yarn to tighten the loop, and then you do those 3 knit stitches. Now this looks overwhelming, but it's not, and I hate even saying that. You can handle this because I can handle it. So if I can handle it, you can handle it. Okay, row 7, super easy. Knit 1, yarn over, knit 2. So we're doing just these 4. So you're going to knit 1, yarn over, and then knit those 2. So we're going fast because you already know how to do this. So knit 1. So put your working yarn over the existing loop and then 2 knit stitches. That's it. That's row 7. You guys know what you're doing, so keep going. Do as many as necessary, and then you're ready for row 8, which is a opposite. Knit 2, yarn over, knit 1. So easy. You could do this while you play music. Maybe some polka. Maybe not. By the way, if you were doing the +3, you would do a knit with a yarn over in the middle and then another knit. Okay, remember that this is not part of the pattern, but just in case you have that that yarn over in the middle. All right, let's get back to our regular pattern. And so with row 8, remember we're doing 2 knit stitches, then a yarn over, and then 1 knit. And you keep going for as many as necessary, and then you're ready for rows 9 and 10, which all you're going to do is repeat row 7 and 8. So let's go ahead and go to row 11. For this row, we're going to do the knit 1, then knit 6 below, or knit from 6 below, then knit 2. Remember that the term might not be exactly right, so bear with me. Let's go ahead and do that first knit stitch, and you can use U-wrap, flat, or true version of the knit stitch. And then you're going to put your working yarn over those 5 loops, and you're going to find the one that's all the way at the bottom and knit with that bottom loop all 5 and knit over. All right, then you're going to do those 2 knit stitches, and your 4 stitch pattern is done. And then you're ready for row 12. And for row 12, you're going to knit 2, purl 5 together, knit 1, and this is the last row in the pattern. So let's do it. All right, now I've done my +3, which was a knit 1, purl 5 together, knit 1, but remember that this is not part of the regular pattern, and if this confuses you, the written pattern might be easier to follow. All right, let's get to the actual 4 stitches, and we're going to do 2 knit stitches first, and then after those 2 knit stitches, we're going to do the purl 5 together. Right, so put your working yarn under that bundle of loops, scoop up the working yarn to create a new loop, and take that group of stitches off the peg and give your peg a little support, because you don't want to stress the peg too much when you do that. And then bring the new loop, put it back on the peg, and pull. And I do want you guys to look at something very important I'm going to show you at the end of this video. So don't just leave because you know how to do the rest of them, right? Knit 2, purl 5 together, and then knit 1. I need you to stay till the end so I can show you what the fabric looks like while you knit. Very important. Alright, so you're going to repeat rows 1 through 12 as necessary, right, for the length of your project. Now, here's the stitch. This has been stretched and pulled into place so that it's shaped correctly, but this is what your stitch looks like while it's still on the loom, before you've had a chance to stretch it, before you've had a chance to let it rest. It's going to look really funky. So have patience. You're going to have quite a few rows before your fabric looks good. So knit, 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 and then for you could wait till the stitch is off the loom to stretch it. For me, I needed you to see both the fabric and the fabric on the loom, so that's what it looks like in the back before you stretch it. You see, it just does not look the same. It looks like this. And so if you're still knitting, I don't want you to freak out and say, oh my God, mine doesn't not look like hers. It's because you're not done and you haven't stretched your stitches. So keep that in mind. And please share the video because it helps me a lot. And if you haven't already done so, remember to subscribe and hit the notification so you don't miss anything. And then come back and loom with me again. Alright guys, till next time.